HMOs versus buy-to-lets. What is the best investment for yourselves? And what should you be focusing on for your own property investing journey? Well, today's video is going to dissect both strategies with the pros and cons, giving you more information about what to expect with both. And having done both, so you know I'm not just pretending to know about it, I'll be giving you my true experience, and then hopefully you yourselves can choose either one of them or maybe both of them that's best suited to your own goals and property journey. Sound good? Let's get going. What's going on everyone, my name is Aaron aka The Anxious Investor, bringing you another video to help you with your property investing journey for 100% free. With the only down payment I really request kindly, politely, and could really do with your help with is to smash the hell out of that like button. It lets me know you find this stuff useful and it keeps me motivated to keep going and producing videos for yourselves. So with that, let's rock and roll. Now for the purposes of this video, what I'm going to be doing is running through the following. And feel free to jump to whichever part you wish, although watching it all the way through will give you more knowledge bombs, I promise. So let's begin with, what are they? Now hopefully you have some idea about what each of these are, but I'll break it down very quickly for you in case you're new to property investing. A buy-to-let refers to a property that you purchase to let or rent out. A HMO on the other hand is a house in multiple occupation, which is a property you purchase that is rented out to at least 3 people, not from the same household. Now with the first one, a buy-to-let, there is normally one AST, an assured short-hold tenancy agreement. And this, for example, could be to a single person, a married couple, a family of 3, 4, or even 5, depending on how many they are. Whereas with a HMO, each person in that house has their own agreement with the landlord. So it's slightly different. Now straight away, you're probably thinking, surely if more people live there, it brings in more money, right? Yeah, you'd be right in thinking that. But there's a little bit more to it. Well, actually there's a lot more to it. So now looking at ready to go versus BRRR ones. Now there's 2 ways of obtaining these properties. The first is by buying cheap or with the potential to add value, renovating accordingly and refinancing to pull your money out. Basically the BRRR method. And I got a video here if you need a breakdown of that. But there is also a way where you can literally go and buy a ready to go buy to let or HMO too. And luckily for yourselves, I've done both the BRRR method, the BRRR? Doesn't sound right, does it? The BRRR model, and I've also done the ready to go as well for both scenarios. So you're in good hands here. Now the benefits between both strategies is a video I'll probably be doing soon. So be sure to subscribe if that's something you're interested in. But for now, for this video, it actually doesn't matter which one we choose. Whether we pull all our money out or not, the argument for and against both of these will be the same. So let's break these down and just stick to the ready to go versions, the simpler one. So let's compare them both. The time to set up. Now I think it's really important to consider and factor your time. As we know, it's our most important commodity. Now from a setting up perspective, if you are looking to take one of these on, and let's say you're looking to put 25% deposit down for example, providing they are furnished to the necessary standards or requirements for those tenants in that particular area, setting up you would assume would be slightly in the buy-to-let's favour. And you'd be right. With less tenants to vet and reference, you will simply set up a buy-to-let much quicker than a HMO. Also with a HMO, it's very important to ensure you have the right dynamics within the household. 4 boozy men who love to watch football on a weekend and 1 shy female who loves a quiet house to read a book probably isn't the ideal mix. So for time, buy-to-let wins. 1-0 to buy-to-lets. Next up, we're going to look at investment needed. Now again, my experience for purchasing buy-to-lets and HMOs have been done the old-fashioned way where you just whack a deposit down and then you start the process, and also the BRRR way. I'm going to miss that R out somewhere in this video. So generally speaking, to get a decent HMO, you will likely be spending more initially than a buy-to-let purchase. Well, hopefully it's not purchase. Then your buy-to-let purchase. Now I did pick up a HMO around £135,000 mark I believe, which is similar to buy-to-let cost. But as many of you know, you can get houses sub £100,000. I can't begin to imagine what a HMO at that cost would look like or what the tenants would be like. So from an initial investment required, buy-to-let definitely takes the lead. 2-0 to buy-to-lets. Now let's look at experience. Now contrary to popular belief, you can get a buy-to-let as your first property. I did it, but I'm not so sure about HMOs. So if anyone has officially bought a HMO as their first property, please do let me know when, how, and who with in the comments below, please. But rather than simply give this point to buy-to-lets, I will just give my experience that I actually needed to be a landlord prior to getting my first HMO mortgage approved. And this, off the top of my head, I believe was with Precise Mortgages. So I won't actually score this one, so we'll just We'll just leave it at 2-0. Financing options. Now, unless you have a 4-bed HMO, you'll most likely require a HMO type mortgage, or as I call it, a commercial mortgage, where you essentially get a mortgage based on the income that that property generates. However, as for the rates, the HMO mortgages are more expensive, especially on the commercial front. But again, this is weighed up with the income or rent, same thing basically, that it essentially generates, and it's much higher. So although I could give this point to buy-to-lets for having the cheaper rate, I think it's important to understand the context here, as a HMO brings in more returns. So I think I'm going to give them a point each here. 3-1. Now, maintenance wise, unless you get the worst tenant in the world in your single let, buy-to-let basically, general wear and tear and maintenance is obviously going to be a lot more in a HMO. Tenant turnovers will potentially require more redecorating, and as a result of this, it's an easy goal, points for buy-to-lets. 4-1. Now, both of these properties require you to act to many legal obligations as a landlord essentially, so make sure you do this, don't cut corners. But there is a lot more you need to do for a HMO in terms of setting it up. You need stuff like fire doors, interlinked smoke alarms, just as an example, which are extra costs necessary for the safety of your tenants, which should be paramount. And also, many of you have probably heard of Article 4. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't have a HMO, as some people wrongly believe, and what it in fact means is that Article 4 directions are simply the legal means by which a local authority can require property owners, maybe yourselves, to seek permission to convert the dwelling into a HMO. Basically, you have to get the council to agree, allowing them slightly more control over the housing stock in their location, ensuring HMOs don't become oversaturated in those particular areas. So both of them have things that you need to abide by, and it's pretty much the same effort in my opinion, because once you've done it, you've pretty much done it. So I'm going to give them a point each here. 5-2. Returns. Now, a lot of you were probably waiting for this one. So it's pretty obvious that returns are much higher in a HMO. You're letting each room out rather than just the single dwelling itself. So unless you're the biggest bargain going, you will be generating more income from a HMO than a buy-to-let. I really can't see how a buy-to-let wins in this area. But do remember that with a HMO, you usually, maybe not always, cover the bills, and essentially the tenants only pay the rent. Each one can be different, but again, your price would need to be adjusted accordingly. But even then, you would make, or at least stand to make, substantially more via a HMO. Now, the comparison part here is slightly difficult because I believe a 5+ bed HMO should work, whereas I don't always feel from a cash flow perspective, a 5-bed buy-to-let is a great deal, because they would 99 out of 100 times usually cost a lot more in terms of the deposit and the purchase price. So rather than try and confuse myself and confuse you guys, let's just give HMOs a point here because they simply bring in more money. 5-3 to buy-to-lets. Now, there is a much higher turnover of tenants, generally speaking, with HMOs. You are simply dealing with more people. People's circumstances change, and HMOs are not necessarily always a place you see yourself living forever. People tend to move jobs, things happen in their life, they upgrade, or they go on to get their own homes. Whereas with a buy-to-let, sometimes you find a lot more people settled, and the tenant turnover is a lot less. Now, as a result of this, voids can become a nuisance for HMOs over the duration of owning that property. And also with 4 beds, a void will kill your yield, and you'd be better off simply getting a buy-to-let, which is why I never recommend a 4-bed HMO. But with larger HMOs, maybe an 8 or 9 bedroom, you can benefit from the odd tenant turnover, meaning you are still cash flowing from the rest. Whereas with a buy-to-let, you lose your tenants, you simply lose your income for that month or two, depending on how quick you can replace them. Also worth noting is, if you have one tenant not paying in a HMO, you can still keep it above water financially, whereas if your tenant stops with a buy-to-let, you're pretty much stuffed. And when it comes to refinancing and stuff, that may cause problems. So it's a really tough one here, but looking solely at what is going to get more voids and potentially more stress either for you or the managing agent, then we have to give the buy-to-lets a win here. So 6-3 to buy-to-lets. Now, in an ideal world, a managing agent would be the dream. A good one. But let's just pretend for this video, you are doing this yourself. The buy-to-let is superior in terms of managing, but the buy-to-let also, as mentioned earlier, runs the risk of one non-payment destroying your cash flow, whereas a HMO can keep you afloat financially with the other tenants in place. Now, in terms of passiveness, you're still obligated for all your landlord duties to abide by. And if you look at the maintenance and turnover, etc., it's hard to argue that again, buy-to-lets nip this. 7-3. Reselling. Now, it's very easy to sell a buy-to-let. You can sell it to an investor or you can sell it to a homeowner as well. But not many homeowners will move into a 5-bed all-en-suite HMO, for example. So it could be easy to give the buy-to-let a point here. However, In my experience, and I'm biased in terms of my own experience here, so let me know if I'm wrong. I'm always happy to be proven wrong in the comments below. HMOs are very appealing for investors, especially overseas investors in recent years who are pumping money into the economy, especially in areas like Birmingham and London, as they see it as a cash flowing asset from day one. And also we could argue that in the future, the demand for HMOs could increase quite considerably due to inaffordability of people being able to buy their own homes and people being more flexible with their actual living. This, of course, again, is a somewhat assumption based on my own exposure and experiences, and I'm cheating here a little bit. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna call this one a draw, 7-4 in favor of buy-to-lets. So concluding thoughts. Now, if you look solely at the score, then, well, buy-to-lets, then buy-to-lets, I've said it again, then buy-to-lets nip this. However, if we look at your personal circumstances, maybe those points scored by the HMO, which are slightly less, may be more important than the points scored for the buy-to-let. For example, you may hate your job so much that one HMO, even when you do the figures accounting for voids and maintenance, gives you more money to either reduce your hours at work or leave your job completely. And for you, this may be more enticing than trying to buy 2 or 3 buy-to-lets, which may take you many years. So happiness may be a factor here. Whereas somebody else who may just want less stress and headaches overall and just want something that they can kind of guarantee will resell maybe in the future if they ever need to, but provide some level of consistent turnover, may prefer a buy-to-let. Now personally myself, I'm excited to jump into new developments this year, which I'll be sharing on this channel. But I'm also more interested in flats because I prefer to handle one problem should it arise than having one problem disturb the other problems, i.e. tenants, causing more problems. And again, that's just my thought process. And for that reason, I kind of stick to buy-to-lets. Unless of course I have the opportunity to JV with somebody who handles all that stressful side. That's a win-win. So I don't really want the stress. I already kill myself every single day with my own anxiety. So I'm voting for buy-to-lets, but it'd be great to know what you guys are voting for. And I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts, if you're still with me, of course. So please do let me know which ones you're favoring, maybe based on your experience or what you're looking to do in the near future. And I think that, my friends, is the end of a potentially very long video. And if you did make it this far, Mom, Dad, and maybe Aaron as well. That's not me, by the way, but it's one of my favorite subscribers as he watches all my videos and likes them and always comments, which you should all be doing. Then I am sincerely grateful for you all, and I really hope this video did help you. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and now let's roll those bloopers. And what to expect with both, having done both, so and then hopefully it will. I really could do without whiz. Whiz? What's whiz?